Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, Today the Hungry Gamer is back with another crowdfunding preview. Kinda, sorta. Basically what I'm doing is, this is a follow-up to my Champions of Midgard review video. Now that the new campaign is live, there's actually about a week left from the recording of this video. So by the time it releases, there's probably 5 or 6 days left. And what Grey Fox was kind enough to do is they were kind enough to send me some of the samples of some of the upgraded bits. And one, I wanted to show them to you with the understanding that these are still prototypes. They are some kind of 3D printing based off the models and those kinds of things. I also got the chance to be shown the solo mode, and I got to play around with it a little bit. Again, full clarification here, I have not spent a ton of time with it because it was just this morning that I was actually showed how it works. But I know how many solo players are out there, and I wanted to just kind of address how it all works. Now, to start out right away, I want to talk a little bit about some of the bits. So they sent me the upgraded resources, and they sent me one of the boats. Now, I'm going to give you some close-up on these so you can kind of check them out. And so, as you can see, some nice little detail in there. Ooh, show that head, there we go. And I gotta say, these look nice. I like them, and the way they're going to work is there's going to be card or tiles that are going to be able to kind of drop right down into the middle here, so you'll actually have the boat with the tile or whatever in there, so you can then use it and move it around, take it to Valhalla. And totally unnecessary, right? But pretty darn cool. I like this thing more than I want to like it. In general, I like to kind of think, oh, well, it's small, easy, but no, this guy's pretty cool. Like, even to the point where I wouldn't even feel like I needed to paint it. So I definitely, these are neat. So if you like deluxe stuff, these are cool. Now, the other things that they sent were some of the samples of some of the resources, being the wood, the food, and the horns. So let's take a look. So first off, we have our wood right here. And so, as you can see, has a little bit of that wood grain to it, and basically you got a big old log, but looks pretty good. Next we have the meat, and basically big old ham hocks here. And so there you go, see the front, see the sides, it's a big old leg of lamb or whatever. And then last we have the horns, which, if you remember, are how you are able to re-roll dice in combat. You see, kind of brassy gold looking, and got a little bit of detail on there. And that's what these are like. So, speaking to the bits, I already said I like the boats. I really do. And I like the ham hocks a lot. I find that really funny, so I really love those. The wood are nice, but with all that said, I really like the horns. Those are really nice because you don't collect a ton of them, and just being able to have that nice chunky feeling thing, easy to grab. The horns I think are a huge upgrade. The wood the wood is huge. Those things are massive, which is, good or bad depending on your perspective, but with space in the box, they're pretty cool. But I'm a big fan of the ham hocks, and I'm a big fan of the horns. Now moving into the solo mode, and I'm not going to dig in super deep on how it works because there are several rules that kind of explain how things work, and what I don't want to do is say something that's not quite right. So rather, I want to give kind of a very broad overview of how it works. So when you play the solo mode, you're actually playing against two different bots. You have the Destiny bot and you have the Worker bot. And they operate basically the same, but at their core, the Destiny bot is going to, throughout the time it's playing, draw the Destiny cards and is going to be scoring points kind of that way. And so that's kind of the big risk that they have. That's kind of the big challenge that you're being faced with from them, while the Worker bot is going to be sending out more workers and blocking up different spaces on the board, and also gaining points and collecting points. And the way they work, broadly speaking, and very broadly speaking, again, because I don't want to get anything wrong, is you're playing against each of these bots as you play, and the basic mechanic is you're going to roll a die. And either there are no hits on the die, 1 hit, or 2 hits. And then for each of the different bots, you can choose to make it harder or easier depending on which type of die you're using. And in general, if you roll 0 or 1 hits, what's going to happen is you're going to activate one of the cards, and the cards, as you can see on the screen, have this kind of top-down list of different regions. And it's going to prioritize the top region and move down. And there are various things that are going to kind of change things up. It might be, well, if there are 2 or more food at this location, it will stop at the smokehouse. Or it might be, it's looking at these other 3 locations, but it's going to take the one that has the most dice there, and if they're all equal, then it goes top to bottom. And those kinds of things. Important thing to note, when the bot goes and fights, it just wins. Period. It kills the thing, it gets the points, and it is done. And that's kind of how the bots work all the way through. When they get something, they get the points. They're not chucking dice, though. When you do collect dice, you do roll the dice, and they get points based off that. Glory, I guess I should say, based off that. But in general, it is very simple of, you're going to roll the die, either 0 hit, 1 hit, or 2 hits. That's going to determine how the cards are flipped and then discarded. So sometimes you're going to know exactly what the bot is going to do, and you can react to that. And sometimes, depending on what you roll, you might not have that information. Your card might be discarded, then another one flips out, etc., etc. And it'll do a thing. The worker side, the worker bot's going to block stuff. The Destiny bot is going to take a lot of resources. And as you go through, they'll interact with various cards that are out on the board. If they fight the troll, they'll kill the troll, and they're going to give you the blame, and so on and so on. But again, just reiterating that they don't actually roll. You're not chucking dice and sending the dice around the board to do things. It's a relatively quick roll the die, flip the card, or activate the card, then move the card, do what it says. And so that brings me to, again, my first impressions of the solo, of what do I like about the solo mode. I like very much that you're playing against bots. It's not a beat your score. I always prefer that because it always feels more interactive. I really like that you have the ability to see what it wants to do, and you can kind of plan around that. Maybe you change up your strategy because you know it was going to want to go take the spearmen that are out there, so maybe you take them first. You know it's going to go and take one of the Valhalla cards, so maybe you go and take those first. And I think that makes for a really interesting dynamic, and I think that works really well. I think with all the cards and all of the different spaces and how you're simply going to kind of go down the list, I think they're very easy to understand how they work. I appreciate that you can roll different dice, it makes them harder or easier. I think all that works really, really well. So what are my quibbles with the solo mode? And I don't have a ton, again, because I've only played it a little bit. But from what I know of the solo community, things that I want to point out that maybe are not to your liking. One, you got these 2 different bots that you are using, working with, and dealing with. And so they're quick. They're quick and easy, but it is 2 different things that you are dealing with and that you're working with. And also, while they are 2 bots that you're playing against, they're also bots that do things differently than you do. They're going to go and they're going to do things, they're going to take things, and they're collecting the resources and they're using the resources. It is much more streamlined, and it kind of strips away the theory of what all these things are going to do. And I know some solo players like it to really feel like they're playing against something else that's doing the same things they are, and that is not the case. The last thing I'll say is, if you're looking for an easy solo mode, this is not an easy solo mode. It's easy to do, but it's a challenge. It is a challenging solo, and you are not going to run roughshod over this. And so as you play, it's going to feel like a challenge all the way through, which I personally enjoy, and I think most solo players do, but again, make sure that we understand that. So there you have it, folks. That is just kind of my thoughts on some of the deluxe bits and my early thoughts on the solo mode for my Deluxified lovers and my solo player fans. So there you have it, folks. That is my last thoughts on Champions of Midgard. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.